Hey, I'm Mac. Welcome back to my channel. First off, if you haven't checked it out yet and you're interested, you can see on the Mac Kazelka channel my second channel upload, which is me rambling about how elevation is the worst way to describe a mountain that there has ever been. It's fun, I think, obviously, because otherwise, like, why would I have made a video about that topic? Anyway, today I would like to discuss MrBeast and his latest product offering, because I think that MrBeast, in many ways, is a very great example of like a microcosm of so many large-scale societal issues that we are currently facing. MrBeast is the current highest paid, most successful YouTuber on the platform. And he is probably one of the strongest pieces of evidence for the fact that meritocracy is a bunch of bullshit and doesn't exist. You see, he has a net worth estimated to be between 700 million and $1 billion. And I would like to just take a moment to make sure we understand what the scale of $1 billion is. The difference between $1 million and $1 billion is approximately $1 billion. That's a 0.1% error with our approximation. If you have $1 billion, you could buy $1 million house, and then you would still have enough left over to buy 999 more $1 million houses. It's kind of a lot of money. And I would say this is pretty strong evidence for the fact that meritocracy is not a thing, okay? It's not that billionaires are smarter or that they have better ideas or that they work harder. The thing that enables someone to become a billionaire is that they lack moral, ethical, or empathy-related boundaries on their greed that most people have and will not cross. Most people are not willing to step on others to the extent that these people are, or to engage in societally damaging practices to the degree that these people are. Okay. And I hear, MrBeast or his defenders saying, like, oh, it's not in liquid assets, or I believe MrBeast actually said this. He said, oh, I'm not rich, I reinvest all of it. And I just want to state right now that if I were a candidate in an election, it would be my platform that saying that, like that liquid assets thing about a billionaire's wealth, or saying like, oh, I reinvested all of it, I'm not rich, that would just be straight to the guillotine. I'll operate the guillotine myself, and we'll just get this over with, just right to the guillotine. I don't have time for this. Slice, get out of here. Okay. And that is my firm promise to my constituents. But regardless of what you think about billionaires like MrBeast, there's really no reason to think that he's anything less than an amazing, great example and just morally upstanding person, just a great role model and someone to look up to, who, has the best hiring practices, okay? And if you're about to say that he hired someone who sexually assaulted a child, stop saying that, because that's not accurate, okay? That individual in question, if you look at the rap sheet of this person that MrBeast knowingly hired to work on his channel that targets children, that individual in question that he hired was not convicted of SA of a child. The charge that he pled guilty to and was convicted of was something that rhymes with wild grape. Okay? That's very different. Okay, that's what it says. It says wild grape, something that rhymes with that, guilty. And MrBeast hired this person to work on a channel that targets children. I don't have kids because, well, number one, no one that I've ever had sex with has ever gotten pregnant. And like, I don't know why. It's mysterious. And number two, just seems like a lot of work. And it just seems like it would take up a lot of my time. Yeah, I just don't want to share it. But at least I know that. And at least I let that inform my choice, right? Right. So I don't have kids, but like if I did, I'd probably be having the same thought that you're certainly having right now, which is like, okay, how the fuck do I get MrBeast to feed my kids? Like, clearly, this is someone who I want to be feeding my children. You know, like he seems to just really have his priorities in order. He's just like really caring, just very conscientious, and always looking out for the well-being of children. If MrBeast is producing it, it's got to be good for kids, right? And MrBeast knew about it. He knew about it. He knew all about it, and he was joking about it. They were making jokes about it. That's not something that I think you should be joking about anyway. And so, you know, in an example of the whole lacking moral restraint or ethical restraint on their greed thing, you know, MrBeast is worth 700 million to $1 billion and is like, okay, like that's not enough for me. And so I need to create this lunch bullshit, Lunchly, okay, this product. I need to inflict that on the millions of children that I have influence over. You know, like some people might use that influence to be a positive role model or promote good morals and ethical values, but, you know, not all people, I guess. And I hear you saying, well, then his audience wouldn't be as big. Right, that's what I'm talking about. See, he's that successful because he has no ethics. Yeah, sometimes you have to make that sacrifice to be a good person. But if you don't feel the drive to be ethical like that, then you can be more successful than other people. It's just you're a shitty person and you're kind of a parasite on society. That's all. So let's talk about Lunchly. Lunchly was created in a collaboration with Logan Paul and KSI. So really a real dream team here of ethics. So let's see what Lunchly is all about from some content from their Instagram, because I don't know, I guess that's where you get good information from about nutrition. MrBeast runs so weird. God, he's like, in addition to all the other problems that I have with him, he's such a dweeb. I don't understand. I'm sorry. He is a dweeb. It's just a fact. Damn it. We were so close. God. I mean, it's a good thing he ran because he almost got hit by a large piece of paperboard. It was it didn't really give me a lot of information. So why don't we go and see if there's anything else on here? Okay, first of all, with this one, before we start, being better than Lunchables is not exactly super high praise. You're not really setting the bar very high for yourself. It'd kind of be hard to be worse. Also, what is with the just putting a suffix on lunch? Could you really not think of a better idea? I mean, why stop at Lunchly? They should have made it like longitudinous or something like that. Longitudinous. You know, like platitudinous or pulchritudinous, which is, in my opinion, the word that sounds the least like what it means, pulchritudinous. If you've never heard that word before, look it up. And let me know in the comments if you think it sounds like what it means. In a sentence, Mr. Beast is the opposite of pulchritudinous.
Lunchly versus Lunchables.
With Lunchly, you get double the amount of liquid.
Prime has no sugar added, more electrolytes, and more B vitamins.
Crunch Bar.
Whoa.
Feastables Crunch
Yeah!
Bar. Our pizza uses real cheese. Theirs, as it says on their box, is mozzarella pasteurized prepared cheese product. They can't even call it real cheese. Ooh. We're also 30 less calories, 3 less.
I don't know the most about like children's nutrition, but I think it is weird to be focusing on calories in something for kids. Like, number one, you're usually trying to make sure they get enough. And number two, I just don't like the idea of already feeding into and encouraging what is, to me, in my opinion, a very easy path toward disordered eating. I just don't think that's good. I don't think that counting calories is the right approach. I think that it's damaging. I don't like it, and I especially don't like it with kids. We'll talk more about this.
Turkey stack 'em. 310 calories.
230 calories.
I think that 230 calories is not enough. Like, that's not enough calories for a child, in my opinion. I'm not saying I definitively know this, but like, that seems like not enough for a child for lunch when they're trying to get through a school day. I don't know.
21 grams of sugar.
Only 7 grams of sugar.
Why are there 7 grams of sugar still in it?
If you look at this close up, you can already tell which one has better ingredients. All right, we'll start off with the Lunchables.
Bro, I'm sorry. That's true.
Okay, that's a load of nonsense. Lunchables are terrible, but you can't tell me, like, they taste fine. That's kind of the problem with them. They're engineered to taste acceptable. It's not that they taste bad, it's just that they're bad.
Trash. All right, now we're trying Lunchly. Come on.
Also, you would think like nostalgia would kick in.
We're not biased at all, but ours is way better.
Yeah, but you are biased. Which I get it that they're joking, but like, shut up.
Fiesta Nachos. 22 grams of sugar.
10 grams of sugar.
Why are there 10 grams of sugar in your nachos?
7 grams of protein.
9 grams of protein.
Come in close and look at the queso cheese in Lunchly versus whatever that is. Drip versus stick. I like my cheese drippy, bruh. This is a Lunchly salsa right here. Look
Cheese normally doesn't
at
drip.
the consistency, the texture. And this is Lunchables. Look, it's watery. I can't even look at that. With 400 milligrams of electrolytes, my God!
Let's talk about electrolytes, okay? Let's talk about electrolytes. This is a red flag, okay? Like, why are they saying this about electrolytes? Let me explain something to you about electrolytes. Are they saying it because they, one, actually believe that electrolytes are beneficial to a child for getting through a school day, and two, do not understand that this is a completely nonsensical thing to say when we're talking about a drink packaged with food emulators that are loaded with salt? Like, maybe they don't know what an electrolyte is, and that's why they don't understand that salt happens to be one. Or maybe they think that like electrolytes only count if you get it in the drink, like before you drink it. Like, it has to be mixed into the drink before you drink it for it to count or something. Or maybe they think that you have like a separate stomach for you, like you have your prime stomach, and then you have a separate stomach for synthetic nachos, right? And so, like, if the electrolytes aren't in the drink, well, it could not possibly end up in the same place as the salt that's in those nachos. So you got to get your electrolytes from the drink. Okay, listen, like, Electrolytes are only a relevant constituent of a beverage when we are talking about exercising vigorously, like intense exercise for over 60 minutes minimum. That's where that would start to become a relevant component of a beverage. Like where you're sweating profusely and you're exercising for 60 minutes or more very vigorously. So, like not a school day. I'm known to hike, right? Like I've done 7,000 feet of elevation gain, 2,133 meters, 104 degrees at the bottom, which is 40 degrees Celsius. Through the hike, I went through 11 liters, 3 gallons of water. But like, I don't do like an electrolyte drink or anything. All I do, I just have some either peanuts or cashews if I'm feeling fancy in my bag. That's all the electrolytes I need. Those things are freaking salty. So that's got me covered. I don't need some kind of sports drink with me. I'm going to get that all from the snacks that I have. Electrolytes are not that complicated. They're not that special. It's just ions in water, which would include salt or calcium or potassium. They're all electrolytes. So the idea that they would be necessary or important in this context is very weird. Watch, I'll make an electrolyte drink with more electrolytes than that prime shit. Ready? Now this is really complicated, okay? Okay. This is a sixth of a teaspoon of salt. Now watch, this is really complex. Okay? More electrolytes than prime. And that was basically free. So like maybe they didn't know all of that, which is a red flag that they're very poorly informed or don't know what they're talking about. Or maybe they're saying it because even though they know that electrolytes are not beneficial or even relevant in this situation, they think you won't know that. And so they can go ahead and lie to you to get you to spend twice as much on Lunchly instead of the equally nutritionally disastrous Lunchables. I feel like that might be it, because like you got to buy Lunchly because, the Capri Sun doesn't have as many electrolytes in it. A weird thing to think is the worst thing about a Capri Sun, but okay. Anyway, continue, guys. Let's hear some more.
It's available for around $4. Super affordable.
$4 for this. $4. In what universe does this add up to like being a $4 value? $4, which they say is
Super affordable.
Super affordable. Yeah, that sounds like something that someone who is worth 700 million to $1 billion would say it was super affordable. $4 is very expensive. You can get a school lunch for like under $2. Jesus Christ. Let's talk about the ingredients. in this Lunchly, because you would think that when you're charging $4 for this shit, you would think that the ingredients would at least be a little bit like better than the ingredients that are in Lunchables, but like they're not. And can I just say like how lazy this is? Like they didn't even come up with new meal ideas to put in Lunchly. They just did direct copies of the things that Lunchables already had. They just picked the most popular Lunchables and then they just replicated that, right? It's a strange choice. I can't imagine that there are many people who would put some tortilla chips, salsa, and liquid cheese in their kid's lunchbox and then be like, cool. That's lunch. That's a good lunch. But the reason that these quote unquote meals exist as they are is because they're not being the priority is not to make them nutritious or to make them balanced or to make them healthful or to even taste good without being loaded with additional flavors after the fact. The goal is for them to be shelf stable, because they have to be, because these are sold packaged in the grocery store. So they have to be stable on the shelf for a long period of time. And also they need to be profitable, and they want them to be as profitable as they can be, which is a very different set of priorities. And in aggregate, this leads to strange choices being made. And I guess this is pitched to parents as being like a time saver, but to put tortilla chips in a bag with some salsa and cheese, because that's the same thing that's happening here. I don't know. I'm not telling you what to do. I don't have kids. Not for me. I would also like to highlight here that the only components of any of these three little options that do not contain sugar are the tortilla chips, the beverages, because they're sugar-free, the cheddar cheese for the turkey stackums, and the mozzarella cheese for the pizza, quote unquote. Like the pizza crust has sugar, pizza sauce, the third ingredient is sugar. The third ingredient for the pepperoni is sugar. The salsa, the fourth ingredient, is sugar. The queso blanco, sugar. And the turkey contains sugar. The crackers, the third ingredient in the crackers is sugar. Because these things are... I'm sorry, but this is not food. It's just not. This is ultra processed. There's this concept that was developed by one particular researcher for an industrial food company. It was specifically for Prego spaghetti sauce, but it now is applied to basically all industrially manufactured food, called the bliss point. And basically it's where they discovered that for any product, they can add sugar to it and people will like it more and more and more. And then eventually it's too sweet and they like it a little bit less and less and less. And the apex of that curve, where it's liked the most, is the bliss point. And that's the amount of sugar they're going to add to it. And so that's how you end up with sugar in all these kind of surprising places. It's because that recipe has been tweaked and tweaked and tweaked and scientifically engineered to be as addictive as possible. They have engineered it to have the right amount of sugar to hit that exact bliss point. And that's very dangerous. When you are calibrating your taste buds to these very artificial, very intense, very sweet, very sugar laden, very salt heavy flavor profiles, actual food is going to seem like bland and sad to you. That's addiction. When you're addicted to something, not having it seems very bland and sad and like there's never going to be any happiness in your life again. Okay? That's addictive behavior. It's better off to just avoid their product. The food landscape is very tilted against you. You know, I just want to add one more thing about these Lunchables. So, Lunchables were developed by Oscar Mayer in 1985, shortly after they were acquired by Philip Morris. And they were developed there by Bob Drain. And in this article about the ultra-processed food industry in the New York Times, Bob Drain's daughter, who has 3 children, okay? And they are 10, 14, and 17. When she was asked by the reporter about a photo of her holding a Lunchables tray, she said, "I don't think my kids have ever eaten a Lunchable. They know they exist and that Grandpa Bob invented them, but we eat very healthfully." I feel like that speaks volumes. Not good stuff, you guys. It's just not good. It really, really warps your sense of taste, and it warps your idea of what food is. Also, one last point I want to make, actually. I thought that was my last point. I have one more point. I do not like the packaging of Prime drinks in with this. The version of Prime that's in here does not have caffeine in it or sugar or anything. But that doesn't make me like it any better. Okay? It's trying to hook kids into something that is an addictive product and a potentially very harmful product, whether it's now or when they get a little bit older, right? Why else would this be in here? And if you don't see why I think that's disgusting, consider this. Like, what if Stolichnaya had come out with a alcohol-free drink and, I don't know, Lunchables started including it? How would you feel about that? I mean, there's no alcohol in it. What's wrong with that? Right. Because it's icky. It's gross to have a brand that sells an addictive, potentially harmful product trying to grab at your kids, right? Because that's clearly what's going on here. And maybe that's a more extreme example, but that's clearly what's going on. And I think that's gross. And I think you shouldn't buy it, especially when it's $4. $4. Are you kidding me? Ugh. And I realize that like this is the least problematic thing about MrBeast, but I hate it. I hate it. I hate how people are getting these terrible dietary habits, and it is killing people. It is literally killing people. And it's going to get a lot worse. We have a serious time bomb on our hands here with ultra processed food. And maybe you think that that's alarmist, but there is research on it. There's increasingly convincing data on it coming out. And that is both related to sugar and it's both related to ultra processed food. And it's not necessarily the ingredients themselves individually or specific things, but it's sort of just the overall effect that all of this has when you're eating things that are like, this is not food. It kind of emulates food, but this is not food. This is profit maximized, shelf stabilized, flavor enhanced, hyper palatable garbage. It's just garbage. Like, the only reason what's in here isn't lower quality is because this is the cheapest they could make it without it being completely gross out. This is how cheaply they could make it with it still tasting mostly okay. Otherwise, they would have made it from even cheaper, less healthful ingredients. But this was the worst they could make it taste and still get people to pay $4. Because I guarantee you, they did extensive testing on this with focus groups and stuff, and they pump in the natural flavors. Natural flavors, by the way, is a very nebulous term. It really doesn't, it sounds fine, right? But it's not. Especially because, think about it, they had to add flavors back into this for it to even taste remotely acceptable, right? Because usually when you're cooking a dish, you don't have to add natural flavors to it. Like the natural flavors are already in the ingredients that you're using, but they had to add natural flavors. How many of them? Who knows? But it's all going to make it a more hyper palatable, addictive experience than what you would have from actual food. And it's just really, really bad to calibrate your tastes like that. I've been Mac. Peace out. Merry Christmas. Bye!